What's good, everybody? It's cjbeatz. We're back at it again today. Today we're going to make a DJ Mustard type beat in Logic Pro X right after this. Thanks for joining, guys. So today we're making a DJ Mustard type beat in Logic Pro X. We're actually going to be using Serato sample to create some vocal chops and then incorporate that into our beat. I already chopped up a vocal and I'm going to let you hear it. Then I'm going to show you how you can do that with Serato. And the only other sound that I've added so far is a bass sound. You know, this is actually a sound that comes out of Alchemy. It's the 70s classic synth bass, and you hear this in a lot of DJ Mustard beats, that, you know, analog-y deep bass. So let me show you guys how I made this vocal chop. The way I did that was using Serato sample, as I mentioned before. So I'm going to open up Serato sample, and we're going to load that audio file in there.
I guess I'm just soul searching.
So once the vocal is loaded into Serato, you can use these plus buttons to, you know, sort of zoom in a little bit and then start adding your chops. You could just add your chops by clicking on the keys like so. And I generally go to, you know, where Serato thinks a chop should be. That's indicated by the highlighted areas of the vocals. So, you know, stuff that's sort of purplish or not in the green, I sort of leave out. Maybe I'll place one here and here. And the next thing you want to do once you've added all your chops, you can mess with the key. So I brought this up 3 semitones. And once you've added all your chops, I usually add some reverb to those vocal chops, because the vocal chops are very, you know, they're spread out sometimes and you want to fill in the blank a little bit, and reverb is the way to go. So I'm going to insert a silver verb to this. And now you can just play it back on your keyboard.
I guess I'm just
So now that you guys know how to import samples into Serato, you know, it's easy to come up with a vocal chop like this. And the next thing you want to do is add the bass. You know, those are like the main 2 elements of DJ Mustard type beats, is these vocal chops, nowadays anyway, as well as these basses. So, okay, so let me let that loop and try to find the key. Okay, got it. And I'm just going to come up with like a bass line and, you know, a standard DJ Mustard bass line for this. As you can see, I have my BPM already set to like a DJ Mustard type beat, which usually ranges around the 101 or 100 range. I'm going to turn my metronome and my countdown on, and we'll record this. Very simple. Let's quantize that. A little bit off. See if I can. So stretching this one out will actually add sort of a glide effect to that end. Yeah, that's nice. All right, so now we could loop that off. We can go straight into the drums now. So let me add a new software instrument. I'm going to select the Ultra Beat with a multi-output. And what that's going to allow me to do is send individual sounds to different channel strips down here. And that allows just for more, you know, manipulation in the mixing process. Once you have everything tracked out, you can track all the channel strips out versus the tracks. So you have a better ability of, you know, manipulating those sounds even further. So next thing I'm going to do is come over here to drum kits and then use the drag and drop samples. And then right off the bat, I'm going to expand all of those channel strips from the multi-output and Ultra Beat. And as you could tell, you have down here 16 new channel strips. 8 are in stereo and 8 are in mono. The stereo ones are fatter because they have a left and right channel, and the mono only has 1 channel, so they're much thinner. Now to send the individual sounds from your sampler, your Ultrabeat sampler, into those channel strips, you have to go to the subcategory and change it to, for example, subgroup 9, which is the first mono channel strip in your mixer. So I'm going to select subgroup 9, and this is basically subgroup 1, 2, etc., so you can count them out if you need to. Now we could start adding some drum sounds. So the kit I'm going to use is the MF80 drum kit, which is available on frequency.com. I'll put a link in the cards as well as the description if you want to check it out. Definitely has some nice sounds that we could use for this type of beat. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a kick drum here, and we'll just go with the first one, see what that sounds like. You can see that it's on the mono channel strip right here. I'm going to bring the volume down just a tad. We can always make things louder later. And then let's find a clap to go along with that. The clap I'm going to send to subgroup 2, 3, and 4. So that's channels 3 and 4, which is a stereo output. Let's find a nice clap that would work. What I'm going to do is record the clap really quick. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, and I'm actually going to use a little bit of my brush tool to do a quick clap spin. Do like a clap stutter right before the last one. Let's change up the velocity on these and draw something like this. And all the main claps, let's select and bring all their volumes up like so. This could actually be faster, so we could choose a 164 note. We'll do the same thing here. We'll draw a nice little line like that. Let's go ahead and add some kicks here. Let's bring this back to an 8th note. So now that kick actually has a lot of low end on it. So what's nice about this is because that kick is individually on this channel strip. So I can add an EQ to that, particular sound now. Take some of the low end off. We can manipulate that even further and, bring out the punch. And if it sounds like the bass and the kick are, not matching well, there's a nice little trick that you could do with 2 different low ends. I usually like going to add a gain meter or a gain plug-in to my kick or to the bass, and then inverting the phase on that. We can have that kick even punch even heavier using some compression. So let's go ahead and add a compressor to that kick. I'm going to use a trusted preset that I usually come to, the Type U Tight kit, and let's listen to that really quick. Okay, so that threshold is a little too much. Ooh, that's fire. All right. You can use a little bit of compression on that clap as well. So let's come over to drums and use the same thing, type U-Type kit, bring that threshold down. And maybe later on in the track, I'll want to have that vocal chop do some crazy stuff. So what we could do is bounce this in place and basically create our own sample like so. I'm going to include the audio tail, include volume and pan automation, and have the normalize turned off. Okay, so we have that sample now for use later on. All right, so we can mute that for now. So now we're going to add a hi-hat. So I usually like using the EXS24 for my hi-hats. And we'll come over to EX24 in stereo. Hit the edit button. If you don't have the edit button, you know, beginners, you might not have an edit button here. You need to enable your advanced features. And you could do that by going to Logic Pro X and then Preferences and Advanced Tools. Just make sure all of them are checked off. So this way you get the best, you know, most out of Logic. All right, so let's find a hi-hat that would fit this. All right, so we got a hi-hat that I created out of two different hi-hats from the MF80 drum kit. And it's always a good idea to save your instrument, so just save it and call this mustard hi-hat. Okay, so if you ever want to come back to it, you could do so by clicking on mustard hi-hat. Very simple and easy to get to your sounds. All right, let's find a pitch that works with the hi-hat. And it's gonna be a simple hi-hat like that. So, let me get the countdown. Just freestyle that really quick. And let's come over to 116. All right, cool. So now we can get a little fancy with that hi-hat and add some rolls. So let's change it up to like 116 triplet and find where we can add those. You can also, you know, like pitch shift, or you can have them stagger. So this one I'm going to do super fast hi-hat. Let's 164 that. Might want to up the volume on that a little bit. Okay, so now what we can do is maybe use this sample that we created out of the vocal chop earlier and try to manipulate it a little further. So we can add some effects to this. Let's do an M rhythmizer on this, and I'm going to use a preset bank that I created. Put a link in the cards for this preset bank. It's called the Gravity Bank, and you know, M rhythmizer is great. It's like having grow speed for Logic or any other DAW other than FL Studio, which uses grow speed. So let's listen to some of these presets. Now that creates a lot of low end, so I'm going to double that up with a EQ. I like the plug on that one, so let's see what that sounds like. Alright, so now let's duplicate these one more time. I'm going to try to build another section. I need something that I can maybe remove the bass out of and then add an 808 to that. Alright, so let's remove the bass, and then now let's add an 808 to this. I'm going to use an 808 that I go to a lot in my EXS24. It's called the 808 Audi. It's a nice 808, always works. So if you're lucky, you know, and your 808 is tuned and stuff, you could technically just take the bass MIDI that you created and then apply it to that 808. If it's too low, just bring it up an octave. Maybe we can have like a little more drama in that 808. So I'm just adding some extra notes and pitching them up a little bit. And let's add a glide maybe to this as well. Let's bring that to mono. So now we got some sections to work with, so we can come up with an arrangement for this beat. So I always like leaving myself at least 8 or 4 bars in the beginning, and we're going to drag this over. For the intro, maybe we can add another effect to this, just to give it like some extra sauce. So I'm going to use a halftime plugin by Cable Guys on this. Bring this down to a quarter note. And let's switch it up using the bands a little bit. And I just want a short intro like that. Just, what is this? 2 bars. And we're going to jump into the action right away. Turn on your automation by hitting A so that you can hit the mix on this, and then bring the halftime down to 0 in the mix when it drops. You know what I was thinking, actually, we can maybe automate an EQ on this. So while this comes up, that section with the section with the sample that we created out of those vocal chops, we'll have it automate the EQ, and then basically put a high cut frequency on that. So hit A on the keyboard again. Let's go over to the channel EQ, hit high cut frequency, and we're going to have it fade in like so, and then back out. Alright, fire. So now maybe we just need some transition effects or something. So let me see what I got here. That would work. Let's just line it up basically. You have to add some rides or cymbals. Bring that over to subgroup 5 and 6 on the channel mixer. Should be able to make that work. So let's see. It's a little too dry, so what I'm going to do is go into the channel mixer, find the ride. I'm going to add a reverb to this as well. So I'm going to go over to reverb. Let's do a silver verb again. Okay, now you can come in here, find the ride. So I don't want to have that everywhere. I'm just going to bring it in like so. Delete these now. Bring this one back, and that'll actually copy over that transition effect too. I want that transition effect right here before the hook drops again. And then maybe for the hook part, half of this, let's chop it right here using the scissor tool like so, and then hitting command to add a chop. This part will have no kicks, it just has the 808 and the claps. Alright, I think this beat is pretty much done. At this point, we just need an artist on it. So let's have a listen to the finished product. Thanks so much for joining, guys. I will put the entire Logic project file in the link in the description for you so you can download it. You know, make your own beat out of it, whatever you'd like to do. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you're notified anytime I upload some new content. My name is CJ. I'm out for now. Peace.